Welcome to the campus of Bethune-Cookman University, the Larry Hanfield Athletic Training Center. I'm Lynn Thompson, here for another episode of the Wildcat Football Insider. Sitting in with me today, as always, is head football coach Terry Sims. And coach, what a pleasure it is to sit here now. The drought is over. The Cats win 21-14 on the road at Norfolk State. And although we won this one, coach, this unique season of challenges that you never ever would believe could occur continues. The Cats had to endure a 25 to 30 mile per hour wind for the entire football game that came in the night before the game. Right. And nonetheless, we find a way to win. We control the time of possession, 21-14, almost 33 minutes of football possession. But the Cats found a way to win, pressure on the defensive line all around. You tip your hat to everybody on the team. Let's talk about this now.
Well, you know, first and foremost, I got to give the credit to the kids. They came out all week and they prepared and got themselves ready to play, not only physically but mentally. Mm-hmm. You know, going through everything that we've gone through this last month and a half, and for them to still be focused and you know, encouraged to go out and perform, it's a tribute to them.
You know, one of the reporters mentioned in his commentary from the Virginia Pilot what this team has had to endure. But for the most part, Coach, nobody else has mentioned it, and we don't care about that. The kids in the room and the uniforms understood that, yeah, this is a season of different challenges, and we still had to play hard in spite of all the different things that have gone on.
No question. The game was scheduled. It was on the schedule. It was slated for Saturday at 2:02, so we had to play it.
You're absolutely right. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do now. We're going to take a look at the highlights of this big win on the road as the Wildcats now win their first conference game of the season.
Today from Norfolk, Virginia, head coach Latrell Scott and the Norfolk State Spartans welcome last year's conference champions, the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats.
Well, we've played better than half of our football season, Nick, already, and every Saturday is a golden opportunity and a golden challenge, and so the Wildcats come up here feeling as though if we can get one on the right side of the column, it will give us the impetus to finish the remainder of our season with a positive finish with wins.
VCU leads the all-time rivalry 18-8, including a 59-49 shootout victory last year in Daytona Beach. The throw by Hankerson is picked off. Todd Evans, the defensive end, reels it in. VCU will take over. Jaquan Loomis has been a tight end that has made circus catches a norm this season. Larry Brim delivers it down the field, going into the end zone to Davis. Touchdown, BCU. Joel Davis for 40 yards.
Happy as can be about it, but I
triple play action for Hankerson, and down he goes. 8:01 left to go here, first quarter. Bethune-Cookman 7, Norfolk State 0. Shotgun snap here to Larry Brim. After the penalty settles for the safety valve, that's Jontavius Carter, stiff arms, and is hauled down at midfield, a 5-yard gain. Tackle made by Kyle Archie. Brim is pressured, so he'll run. With a bad ankle, he gets the first down.
That's as slow as I've ever seen Larry, but I'll take every step of it.
Already has a touchdown run this year. He'll keep it himself, but nothing's doing. Brought down in the backfield by Kevin Thompson. Hankerson with a 4-man rush. Steps up, pressured, so he pumps and runs. Starts outside and tripped up in the open field. Trevor Merritt with the tackle. Standing in his own end zone, delivers it deep for Wahi, and he caught it out of bounds. DeAndre Bozeman, number 13, was on the coverage.
I like the call.
Hankerson steps up and is brought down almost immediately. That's Tavon Butler with the stop. Evius Williams, 2 rushing touchdowns this year, runs a 4.6 40. Now Jamaris Tompkins squirts loose. Brandon Walker saves the touchdown on a a gain of 16.
Love to see the running game get going to let that offensive line, which has been much maligned, get some push going.
Here on this drive that started at the Norfolk 41, Akevius Williams, touchdown, BCU.
Good job that time by the Wildcats, especially the young quarterback out of Madison High School, Madison, Florida, Akevius Williams, Fat Daddy.
They'll bring 5. Hankerson is swallowed up by Kevin Thompson. Wow, BCU their 12th first down of this ball game so far. And that speed has been so electric as he gains 5.
Well, Bethune-Cookman gets off the snide. It took them longer than they would have hoped to keep Norfolk State down. But the Wildcats defeat the Spartans here in Norfolk by the final of 21-14.
Do you want to wear what the real Wildcats wear? You can get your official BCU Wildcat team gear from the comfort of your own home online at bcusportshop.com, the official online store of BCU Wildcat Athletics. Save your gas money. Avoid the hassles in the mall. Click on bcusportshop.com and get the best in Wildcat wear delivered to you in just 48 hours. bcusportshop.com, the official Wildcat online store.
In the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, we believe the game of life shouldn't be a game of chance. That's why we're taught to work as hard in the classroom as we do on the field. Because you're not just playing for the trophy, you're playing for the ultimate prize, your future. The Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, 13 member institutions, 16 championships, one goal, educating student athletes for the game of life.
At BCU, every game is a life lesson.
A chance to show faith,
respect,
and sportsmanship.
It's bigger than winning or losing.
There's life beyond the game. Opportunities beyond the classroom.
Responsibilities to our community.
On a much larger stage.
As ambassadors to the world.
Leaders, champions, we are Wildcats. And we believe in faith, integrity, and love. Enter to learn, depart to serve. That's the Bethune-Cookman way. Go Wildcats!
The Florida Blue Florida Classic returns to Orlando on November 19th. Florida Classic Weekend reunites the Florida A&M Rattlers and the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats for the biggest rivalry in HBCU sports. You have to be there to see the world-famous Marching 100 and the Marching Wildcats in a halftime show that cannot be missed. Tickets start at just $15 while supplies last. Get yours today at floridaclassic.org.
The DNA of Bethune-Cookman comes from the heart of a great woman whose legacy lives on today in each and every Wildcat.
I leave you love.
I leave you hope.
I leave you a thirst for education.
I leave you faith.
I leave you, finally, a responsibility to our young people.
Great leaders always leave something for others to follow.
What will you leave us?
Welcome back to the Wildcat Football Insider. I'm Lynn Thompson here with Terry Sims. The Cats win their first win of the year on the road at Norfolk State, 21-14 in a football game that had, it was a tale of field position. Which way were we going? Wherever the wind was blowing, we had the advantage. Coach, on the day offensively, 33 minutes and 36 seconds of possession time. We had the ball almost 8 minutes more than Norfolk State. 309 total yards, 8 penalties for 60 yards, Coach. And none of those penalties really hurt us except for 4 movement penalties, illegal motion penalties on the offense, where we had a couple of drives going on and a couple of linemen jumped. I know in two instances we were second down and 2 yards ago. We push us back 7 yards. It's 2nd and 7. We get another, and now you're back in 3rd and long situation. And I know that's something that you did not want to do. You wanted to move the chains and be in a good rhythm offensively. But you did manage to find a rhythm using 2 quarterbacks. Let's talk about that.
We did. We knew last week we started Akivas and we inserted Larry early. But Larry was healthier than us. He was probably 85% this week. So we decided to go ahead and start him, let him get out early and see what he could do with the offense. And we did that. Then Akivas, we started implementing him in when we saw which way the wind was blowing, actually. Mm-hmm. You know, we knew that he would be a change of pace guy and be able to give the defense a different look.
Yeah, and he certainly did. You went to option package with him. Larry continues, Coach, to only be really utilizing maybe a third of his talent as it relates to his athleticism, because he's still not able to run like he's been accustomed to running, and as a result, he stays in the pocket.
And I think that may be a good thing. You know, he's actually forced to stay in the pocket a little bit more. He can run, and he showed that a little bit on Saturday, but our offensive line, you know, they've been doing a pretty decent job of keeping him upright and keeping guys off of him, you know, and it's given Larry enough time to sit in there and make great decisions throwing the football.
Coach, the first touchdown of the game happened into a 30-mile-per-hour wind, and Larry lets one fly 39 yards to Jewell, and Jewell wins the battle for the ball in the end zone. But more impressive than the fight to get the ball was the crisp throw that he made into that gale wind.
Well, a lot of people don't really understand it, but quarterbacks with strong arms, they rather throw into the wind, because if you're throwing with the wind, it's going to make the ball tail off. So throwing against the wind, it actually helps those guys a little bit. And he threw a great ball, and Jewell went up and made a spectacular catch.
He sure did. Almost came up with another catch similar to that in the end zone in the later in the first quarter. Coach, you managed to run the football on the day. You had 167 yards rushing, and while that may be a little less than we are normally accustomed to getting, the direction really dictated that, which way we were going into the wind. We lost the toss. And so Norfolk was going to have the benefit of having the wind in the fourth quarter. And so it was important that when we had the wind, we had to score.
Without a doubt. We had to make sure that we took advantage of the wind when it was going in our favor. So we kind of looked at where we were on the field and looked at the personnel that they had on the field, and we just could not allow them to sub. And that was, it was beneficial for us later on in the game.
Coach, I'll tell you another thing. The one touchdown going into the wind was the difference in the football game.
It was. and when you look at our receiving corps, you look at all those guys, and I think Larry and Akivas both did a great job spreading the ball around to those guys. But when you look at the catch that Jewell made, we're still trying to figure out how he got up and came down with that ball.
Well, and he was overdue, because he said to me in the hotel, this is my day. I got to make something happen. Coach, I felt I had to say some prayers for the special teamers, because Norfolk had an horrendous day punting into the wind. Uriel Hernandez attempts a 28-yard field goal, and it's literally pushed back almost to him by the wind, about like one of my tee shots on a windy day. And then we had one snafu on the last possession of the game, Coach. Kegel drops the snap, forced to try to make something happen, throws one up, and they pick it off, and they get momentum and threaten to win the football game.
Right, and that just happened from the previous punt. He was roughed, but they called run into the punter. They hit him pretty good. And I think, after that, he started taking his eyes off the ball, watching the rush, and he dropped the ball. He had pressure on him, and he ended up just trying to get himself out of it by throwing the ball instead of just eating it and, taking the loss as far as the tackle and, let us play defense from there. But our defense came up big. Those guys played a great game in that last minute and a half with stopping those guys, because Norfolk they have a powerful offense.
Absolutely.
And their quarterback is dynamic. He's dangerous. But those guys went out, and we thought we had the game taken care of with the fumble. But instead of falling on the ball, we tried to pick it up and run, and they got it back. But we came out and stopped them again.
We'll come back in just a few moments. We'll talk about this great defensive effort. And the last 2 drives of the football game, during the timeouts, you could tell that the defense had regained that swagger, because they were dancing while the coaches were talking. We'll be back in just a moment.
In the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, we believe the game of life shouldn't be a game of chance. That's why we're taught to work as hard in the classroom as we do on the field. Because you're not just playing for the trophy, you're playing for the ultimate prize, your future. The Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference, 13-member institutions, 16 championships, one goal, educating student athletes for the game of life.
Do you want to wear what the real Wildcats wear? You can get your official BCU Wildcat team gear from the comfort of your own home online at bcusportshop.com, the official online store of BCU Wildcat Athletics. Save your gas money. Avoid the hassles in the mall. Click on bcusportshop.com and get the best in Wildcat wear delivered to you in just 48 hours. bcusportshop.com, the official Wildcat online store.
At BCU, every game is a life lesson.
A chance to show faith,
respect,
and sportsmanship.
is bigger than winning or losing.
There's life beyond the game. Opportunities beyond the classroom.
Responsibilities to our community.
On a much larger stage.
As ambassadors to the world.
Leaders, champions, we are Wildcats. And we believe in faith, integrity, and love. Enter to learn, depart to serve. That's the Bethune-Cookman way. Go Wildcats!
The DNA of Bethune-Cookman comes from the heart of a great woman whose legacy lives on today in each and every Wildcat.
I leave you love.
I leave you hope.
I leave you a thirst for education.
I leave you faith.
I leave you finally a responsibility to our young people.
Great leaders always leave something for others to follow.
What will you leave us?
The Florida Florida Classic returns to Orlando on November 19th. Florida Classic Weekend reunites the Florida A&M Rattlers and the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats for the biggest rivalry in HBCU sports. You have to be there to see the world-famous Marching 100 and the Marching Wildcats in a halftime show that cannot be missed. Tickets start at just $15 while supplies last. Get yours today at floridaclassic.org.
Welcome back to the BCU Wildcat Football Insider. The Wildcats went on the road for the first win of the year and in conference play, 21-14 over the Norfolk State Spartans. Terry Sims sits in with us. Terry, your defense played tremendous football. Here are the stats. They held Norfolk State to 222 total yards, 90 passing, and 132 rushing yards. One of them was a long 43-yard touchdown by Greg Hankerson. And Greg broke a couple of tackles. As a matter of fact, one of our guys knocked the other guy off of Hankerson, but the kid converts for a great touchdown run. But the most important thing we saw was you established pressure up front from your interior defensive linemen.
Right, and we knew that when we started practice on Sunday. Watching those guys on film, we knew it was going to start up front, and our defensive tackles especially had to play well. They had to take control of the line of scrimmage, and they did just that. 6
sacks on the day, Coach. And you didn't have to blitz as much, and as a result, your linebackers could stay back in their zones, and the defensive backs were able to really to come up and be aggressive.
Right. We had, again, our defensive line, especially our tackles, DeMarcus Womack, Jamal Thomas, Dyshawn Ray, those guys play well. All of them. Each and every one of those guys played well, and they allowed our ends to be free. Mm-hmm. And you know, Todney and Palmer, and Kevin Thompson. Those guys, they did a great job coming off the edge, putting pressure on the quarterback, and making Greg get the ball out of his hand. Because he's a guy, if you let him sit back, you know, he can hurt you. But we didn't allow him to throw it, and we did not allow him to get out really and hurt us with his legs.
Coach, Trenton Bridges continues to be a force in the middle, but you have been rolling the dice somewhat on the other two linebacker positions and playing some new kids who are getting now extensive playing time because of some injuries and, more importantly, because of the depth that you need to develop. Let's talk about those guys.
Well, you know, the first guy, he was a guy that I coached personally a few years back, Alex Morales. You know, a lot of folks look at Morales' size and they say, well, can he do this? Can he be this? He's a football player. And, you know, first and foremost, He's a guy that understands the game. He has passion for the game, and he's always going to give you his all. You know, and Delwan Beard is the other guy who made a transition from another position last year. And both of those guys right now, they're giving us everything they have, and they're giving us just what we need to be successful.
Farrier didn't play much at all. I mean, where is he in the mix now?
Trey should be back this week. He's been, nursing a little bit of a shoulder injury, and he was activated for last game, but we were not going to play him if we didn't need him. So, hopefully we'll be able to get him out there a little bit this Saturday and see how he holds up.
Coach, the previous game you had two of your defensive backs who were nicked up, and as a result, you were able to play about 2 or 3 additional secondary persons Saturday that got some very much needed and vital playing time. And now, during the stretch run, you're going to be able to really use a lot of different combinations.
Yeah, we will. We had Jamal Burgess, who was our starting right corner. He actually went out with a hand injury on Saturday early in the game, and we had to insert DeAndre Bozeman. And he's another junior college transfer, and he showed up big for us on Saturday. He blocked a couple of guys early, special teams, which we needed, and he also broke up some passes. And he broke up a long ball and intercepted one, which we still thought was inbounds, but they say it was out of bounds. So we went with the call, and we also got a chance to play Trevor Merritt a little bit more, a freshman safety.
Well, Coach, when you look in terms of the total team effort, I heard you in your post-game speech, the accolades you were giving, it was a total team victory. This team now, and you said we played a tremendous game last week against North Carolina A&T and did not finish. We finished this one, and now we got to turn our attention to homecoming when we come back from the commercial break. But I heard you say we're 1-0 now.
Right, and this is the second half of our season, and that's how we're looking at it. We're 1-0 in this half of the season, and now all of our attention is on Delaware State.
Okay, we'll come back in just a few moments. We'll look around the MEAC. We'll turn our attention to homecoming 2016 against the Delaware State Hornets. All of that and more when we return. Welcome back to the BCU Wildcat Football Insider. We're just about to wrap up this week's episode of the show, but let's go around the MEAC, Coach, right now and talk about some of the games. North Carolina Central came from behind at Morgan State with 2 minutes to go to win it 21-17, Coach. Central continues to play well. They lost Malcolm Bell, though, in the football game to a head injury. The severity is not known at this time, but they need that kid to continue their stretch run.
Without a doubt, they need Malcolm because he's the guy that makes that offense run, and they feed off him. I know their backup quarterback is very capable, and Coach Mack has, a lot of faith in him, but it's nothing like having your field general on the field.
Howard University, their homecoming opponent happened to be the North Carolina A&T Aggies, and Coach, that was a tough one. A&T blows out Howard at homecoming. Delaware State, the team that comes here this weekend, goes to South Carolina State for their homecoming. 30-3, the Bulldogs roll. And in what was a surprise to most people, but probably the hottest team in the league right now is playing right down the road in Tallahassee. The FAMU Rattlers, 31-14 over Hampton University.
Yeah, Coach Wood has those guys rolling. They had a tough loss early in the year to Tuskegee, but he rallied the guys back, and, it's a tribute to them and their program for getting those guys back on track, and they, they won a couple games because of it.
Now, when you look in terms of the league, right now, those three teams, South Carolina State, North Carolina Central, and North Carolina A&T, seem to be playing significant football right now. And one of those three teams will probably win it all. But, Coach, you've got a lot to say about this. And it begins this weekend in Daytona Beach.
We do, and we're going to continue to play, and we're not going to look at the conference standings and see who's laying where right now. We're just going to prepare and go out and play.
Now, let's talk about this before we go and talk more about Delaware State. One of the most unique things, and you heard us say this as we began the show, some strange things have been happening to this football team this year. And let's just lay them out, a couple of them. Coach, even before Hurricane Matthew, you had missed 8 practices because of lightning in the area. Where we have 2 practice facilities, one on campus and the other one at the city, but it was lightning in both places and both are outside. So we had that problem, but nothing that like what happened in Norfolk, Virginia. Let's talk about that.
Well, we came in from pregame warm-up, and all the coaches were standing in the hallway. And I asked them, what were they doing? And they said, we can't get in. And I said, well, get someone with a key. And they said, that's not the problem. So we actually had Coach Carl Franks and Coach Darren Hayes. They were locked in the locker room, and we couldn't get out. They tried all the basketball coaches' keys. They tried the locksmith on campus. Didn't work, so they called a guy from off campus, had to come in, and they eventually had to just take the doorknob off of the door to actually get it open to get us back on the field. And I guess we got out about, a minute and a half late.
Mm-hmm. Well, we noticed that the team wasn't out on the field yet, and the referees were aware of that, correct?
Correct.
But they still wanted you on the field.
They were still trying to rush us out, 2 coaches short
right.
to play the game, but they understood once we actually explained everything to them.
Well, Coach, Delaware State comes in looking for their first win. The last 30 seconds of the show, tell us about that. They're going to be a hungry bunch, aren't they?
They are, and they're a talented bunch. And I know people say, well, they haven't won any games, so how can they be talented? Well, we were in that same situation before last week. They have a junior college quarterback that can run their offense, and they have some talented running backs and receivers.
Well, we'll certainly see if the Cats are going to make it 2 in a row. That's what we're striving to do. Homecoming, 4 p.m. Saturday. We want to make sure you're all there. If you can't be there, log into one of our social media platforms. We'll see you then. For Terry Sims and the Wildcats, I'm Lynn Thompson. See you at homecoming.